Hey, what's up everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today I want to talk about the future ahead in ESO. I've touched some on the ideas and things I would like to see ESO implement in 2022 in various videos, but I want to make a complete list and explain each of those things plus new ideas in the video today. I would love to get your feedback, and I also encourage you to make your wish list down below in the comment section of the video. Real quick, I do want to just give a shout out to all the patrons. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you to the newest patron, Silent. If you'd like to become a patron, check out the link below in the description, and you can also get your name up here and much more. You can also go to our website at brahwegotthis.com. You can watch me play live on twitch.tv/brahwegotthis, and you can join our Discord. All those are in the description below. So starting out, I want to preface that I understand that these things on my wish list are things that I hope at least one of them makes into next year's content, but I know that all of these will not be added to the game next year, or maybe ever. But I just wanted to clarify that so you didn't think I was insane for thinking that all of these would be added, because I know that that's not possible. The first thing on my wish list next year that I would love to see is a new class. Now, I have a separate video on this topic, but I think that when you add new classes, the hype is through the roof, and the two classes that ESO has added have been home runs. But you run into a lot of challenges with this, which we discussed in that video, and I think that is balancing for the most part, but also just adding more load to the servers with new animations and all that jazz. But if ESO were to add a new class, I'd love to see some sort of new role implemented with that class, which we will touch on here in a few with another wishlist item. But for instance, I have been saying an engineer class would be awesome because it fits a theme of ESO in my opinion, and it could use like Dwemer machines as part of its skills. You could have like a healing turret, damage turrets, buff turrets. You could have centurions, spheres, spiders. This role could supply a lot of buffs and debuffs as a different play style in ESO that would maybe allow healers to be more of a true healer role and tanks to be more of the true tank role. It could also make healing and tanking easier for new players that would allow them to be able to try the roles out more often. You could also have a bard as a class play this role as well. A bard class is for sure a fit for ESO, as there are tons of them in the game already, and bards would obviously play songs for healing, buffs, maybe do damage, and you could even put a mini concert on like in Final Fantasy. The chances that we get a new class though, I think are a very small chance just because of them trying to still balance PvP and fix stability. I think if you add one in there, it's just going to make it extremely harder to do that. But what do I know? I'm not a dev, I am just a content creator. This leads me to my next wishlist item, and that is a new way to play PvE. So this could be in the form of 5-man dungeons or 8-man raids, as just an example, but I would be very interested to see how this piece of content would play out on the live server. I think that if you add a new class that is more of a support class, like I said before, maybe you add the engineer or the bard, you could restructure some of the dungeons to be 5-mans, or maybe you could start making new dungeons just be 5-man dungeons. A lot of MMOs do this model, and I'm not saying that ESO should duplicate that, but I think if ESO did introduce another type of role to the mix, that would be really fun. Also, again, I do think that if you maybe would take some of the load off of healers and tanks, it might actually make learning that role easier and make beginners maybe try those roles like more often than not, which could balance out the player base a little bit. But ESO's dungeons are by far my favorite piece of dungeon content in any game. I think adding this feature could potentially make them be played differently or make it even more challenging. The same thoughts go with a 8-man raid. I think it would be a cool thing to see if teams can clear these. Maybe you add cosmetics to them to make it more appealing as well. Next wishlist item is one that we made a video on as well, and that is Overland Plus content. So a lot of players, and Deltia, one of ESO's great content creators, mentioned making a new difficulty for Overland and story content. This got myself and people in my stream talking, and we came up with some pretty cool ideas. I think it's known that ESO story and Overland content is fairly easy for the majority of players, which is fine, and that can stay that way. I don't have a problem with that. But I think it would be really amazing if, say, ESO implemented a new Game Plus type of mode for players that want more of a challenge when it comes to that content. This mode would activate when you complete the story quests in a zone and defeat all the delves, world bosses, public dungeons, special locales, public incursions. And what would happen is that you could then activate a veteran mode for story and overland content. You could go back and do all the quests again, the world bosses, etc. But the cool thing about this is when you do these activities and keep doing these activities, you earn zone tokens. These zone tokens could be spent in zone vendors for cosmetics for your character, mounts, housing items, titles, and more. This would bring insane replayability to ESO without having to add anything new or crazy to the game. And I want to take a moment real quick and talk about this because the next wishlist item is related to the Overland Plus and replayability, but I think that something that ESO is having a problem with when it comes to stability is that they are releasing an absurd amount of new content every year, which, by the way, is a great thing. But when you do that, it probably causes a little bit more stress on thinking of something new and innovative, which then probably makes it more difficult to make sure that new idea will work as a new system. I think if ESO were to fine-tune some of the systems in the game that are already well-oiled, I feel as if it wouldn't be as much of a stress on making sure it functions properly because they already have a good baseline. Now, I know Rich Lambert mentioned in a stream that they got questions on, would they make like a skip dialogue option in Dragonstar Arena because it is kind of agonizing to go through that arena now because the rounds just take so long between like dialogue and all that stuff. And he mentioned that obviously they've learned a lot since they've made that, but the team basically doesn't want to focus so much or so many resources on a piece of content that is essentially not new. And I think that that is a very valid point. And I appreciate the team over at ZOS wanting to look forward instead of recycling content. And I don't want them to necessarily recycle content. However, I do believe that the Overland Plus system and the next system I'm about to mention wouldn't be something that players wouldn't appreciate. I think adding to these existing systems would actually bring a lot of fun and replayability for players that want to grind, but just at a harder difficulty. So the next wishlist item is replayable loops that give rare cosmetics as an unsellable drop. And I emphasize unsellable. The reason being is because there are already things in the game, motifs for instance, that are grindable and look great, but they can be bought from guild traders if you have the gold, which in a way devalues the motif because players don't know if you grinded for it or if you're just rich in the game. It's still a cool thing to have, it's just not the same. I look at games like RuneScape and WoW that have mounts and boss pets, skill capes. Skill capes are, earned through grinding. Boss pets and mounts are usually earned through very rare drop chances and most importantly cannot be bought in game. What this does is this adds something for players to chase and to show off when they play your game more and more. Unfortunately, MMOs are moving away from this model, it seems, because it doesn't make as much real life money as putting cosmetics in a shop. But I think that if ESO would add more things like mounts, skins, motif augments like the Opal Styles in the Undaunted event, and other cosmetic drops that aren't tradable, even boss pets, this would bring more replayability and have more people spend time on your game. Now, ESO already has skins and personalities that you can earn by completing really hard achievements in dungeons and trials, which I think are great, and those are great things to chase. But now let's add more things. Let's add drops that come from bosses specifically to those dungeons or trials. Unfortunately, though, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I think that there is a 99.9% chance this never happens. And that's because I would be willing to bet a whole lot of money that they have compared that model versus the cash shop model and seen that it makes significantly less money, which is very sad. But one can dream, and I'll save that rant for my podcast, which, by the way, if you guys want to check out my podcast, I am going to be relaunching it hopefully very soon in the next coming weeks. It's lagged out. It's on YouTube. I'll leave the link below in the description, and I have it on Spotify and iTunes as well. It's going to be a once a week podcast right now, but I'm very, very excited to relaunch that. We have over 100 subscribers on YouTube, so go check it out, y'all. That'd be awesome. My last wishlist item is something that I'm not very well versed in, but I need to put it in here because I hate seeing my fellow players sad about this, and that is PvP related things. I know ZOS is working on fixing PvP and they aren't adding any new content until they do that, which I'm happy that they are, they're trying to take their time with that, which you know, why add something new to PvP when you know it's going to probably just fail, right? Or it's going to mess up, you know, the stability. But I would love to see next year at some point if there's some progress made of stability. Maybe they add something that fixes their problems that they have over there, or maybe just adding some small piece of content that could maybe not affect the stability as much or something. Because I know PvP players are they've left the game. They're coming back, I think, a little bit, but I mean, I just think that they're losing a lot of that side, and that is sad because I know a lot of big players, you know, big time content creators really want that to be successful. So that is my last wish list item. Again, I'd love to hear what you would love to see in the game next year. Leave me a comment down below. I'd love to see what people say. Again, I think that most of this stuff is something that could potentially be in the game, but you know, the chances of some of them are probably very slim. But you can dream, right? But make sure to like, subscribe, and heavy attack that bell icon if you did like this video. It really helps me out. And if you would like to become a member in the channel, we have memberships now that just support the channel on YouTube. You can check out that below in the description. And again, you can check out our website, brahwegotthis.com, and all of our social links. But until next time, y'all, just remember to have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.